Hey everyone, this is Stamping Songbird. I'm going to do two different methods for coloring a stamp using Prismacolor pencils and Copic markers. So here I'm showing you my Prismacolor pencils. I just have a basic set, and this is Penny Black's Furry Smile stamp set. So I'm using this craft cardstock, and I've already stamped the images on both. I sponged the edge of one of them with Stampin' Up! Smoky Slate, and I'm going to do that to the other, just so that the cards are consistent. So this is the first time that I am doing this on camera. It is not perfect. I don't mean the sponging, I mean the coloring. So I'm going to basically walk you through it, but you will see some boo-boos along the way. So I'm going to use Prismacolor color pencils, and I'm going to blend pencils, not the normal way with each other, but I'm going to use baby oil. I saw this method with another YouTuber, and they use baby oil and also Gamsol. Gamsol is actually the way you're supposed to blend color pencils, but baby oil works as well. So that's what I'm trying here, and I'm going to show you what the difference is between the color pencils and the Copic markers. And I'll let you know which one I prefer in the end. And just disclaimer, I am using a craft color cardstock, so that does play a part in the brightness or lack thereof in the colors that are shown with the color pencils and the Copic markers actually. So I may just do this again with just white cardstock, but I like the way that this card looks on craft, or the stamp looks on craft. So here I'm just taking a blue color pencil and coloring the gift box. I colored the hat and accenting the bow and the little pom-pom in yellow. And I'm not putting a lot of pressure on in the coloring. You don't need a lot of pressure for this method. And the colors are so smooth and so saturated with Prismacolor markers that you can just leave it as is so that it's nice and bright. But the purpose of this is to show you what it looks like if you wanted to blend with baby oil. So this is a baby oil Solimo brand, which I got on Amazon. I think most baby oils are the same, so it doesn't have to be a big name brand. So I'm going to use a little bit of baby oil in the cap, and then this is a blending stump. These you can get on Amazon as well, and they help with blending. So you just dip the baby oil into the blending stump into the baby oil, and then you just go over as if you were coloring or painting all the parts that you want to blend. So what I realized that I didn't do here is that I didn't use multiple colors before using the baby oil, which would have probably made a difference, but in retrospect, given that this is craft cardstock, the blending with the baby oil makes the coloring the color not as bright, makes it a little dull, although it still looks good. It blends it out so that it doesn't look like a color pencil anymore. So that part I like. I just don't like that it's a little dull. It doesn't bleed through either right away, the baby oil. It bleeds through as you go along, and especially in areas where you put a lot of oil or in larger areas. So I'm just grabbing the browns that come in my set of Prismacolor pencils, and I just start with the lightest one and just color that. And then I add the medium tone, and then I add the dark tone. Again, I'm not using a lot of pressure. This is very light coloring because the baby oil is going to do all the work for you. Again, you can leave your color pencil or your image as is with this color pencil and just blend with the three colors. But that also requires a lot of pressure or a lot of effort in the coloring. So I don't have a lot of strength in that right hand, and I am a righty, so I have to use it for coloring. So I don't often do it because it takes a lot out of me, but the outcome is I think very pretty, so every once in a while I'll do it. So So here I'm adding the mid-tone, trying to put some shadows along the arms, the creases of the arms, bottom of the fingers, and along the sides of the face. And I am not an expert in coloring by any means. You'll see boo-boos along the way, but I do enjoy coloring. I think it's relaxing, so that's why I do it. Sorry if I'm speaking a little bit low. It's because it is a little late and I don't want to make a lot of noise here where I live. I don't want to bother the neighbors, so I'm just speaking as softly as I can. So here I'm just using the blending stump, and just so you know, the blending stumps come in different sizes. So each stump has like a more narrow point or a wider point, and these can be sharpened with sandpaper, and the set comes with that sandpaper. You can see that the color of the brown is darkening, and I really like the way that the brown looks on this bear with the color pencils and the baby oil. I think it looks pretty good, better than the yellow and the blue, I at least in my opinion. So once that's all blended in, I'm gonna then focus on his snout. I'm taking this peach colored color pencil, and I'm thinking that it looks pretty good, nice and bright like that, but I didn't use a lot of pressure, so I needed to blend that. Once I started to blend, again, it got really dull. And it looks wet at the beginning, but then it does dry, so it won't look like it's just stained. It will dry. So I'm realizing that it still looks dark, and I just want to put a little more of that light color on top. But before I do that, I'm adding a few highlights, and I'm not good at adding highlights either. I'm just randomly putting these little highlights in with the white color pencil. I'm darkening the eyebrows and the eyes, and then I am going to lighten up that snout using that peach color again. It already looks a little bit better. So I'm going to blend that as well, just to keep it consistent. And that's basically it. So this is what it looks like using Prismacolor pencils, blending stumps, and baby oil. Again, I got the baby oil from Amazon. I actually got the blending stumps from Amazon as well. So I'm going to move on now to Copic markers. I'm going to put all the stuff away and then grab some Copic markers. I'm only going to grab a couple of earth tone colors. I'm just randomly picking browns and a yellow and a blue so that I match the first bear that I did. But the browns that I did pick go from light to dark. I just didn't bother with looking at specific color families and numbers and all that. I just grabbed some browns. So I'm gonna just start again with the yellow, with the pom-pom and the bow, just like I did with the first one. And here there's an oopsie. I didn't see where I was coloring and I went out of the lines. And these are alcohol markers, so they're permanent. There is a 0 marker which erases boo-boos usually, but it doesn't really work on this craft paper, but it does work on white paper. I've used it a lot. So I'm moving on to the blue, and this blue for the most part matches the other blue, but when you put it on the craft paper it looks a little bit darker, but it's the same blue. So here, just like the color pencils, I didn't really use a lot of colors, multiple colors to blend the box or the hat. I only did blending with the actual bear. And there's no baby oil being used here, no blending stumps, just straight up Copic markers. And you don't have to have actual Copic markers, you can have other brand alcohol markers. I've actually purchased from Amazon. I don't remember the name of the brand. It starts with an O, but it's just, you know, a generic brand, and they were pretty good. But you couldn't refill them. And the price was really good too. It was really cheap. And you got, I think, about 60 markers. So those are long and gone. And I started to purchase Copic markers little by little because these guys are expensive. So here you would notice that the left side of the bear, our left, is already colored in. I had to pause for a second and take care of something and started to color it again, not realizing I hadn't turned the camera back on. So thank God it was just the left arm. So now we are taking a darker brown and adding a little bit more contrast to the shadow areas. And then I'm gonna go back to the lightest brown and try to blend everything back in. I'm coloring the snout with the lightest brown, and you can see it looks pretty dark, like it's blending in. But once I add a little more to the bear's fur, it's gonna look different. It's gonna look like there is a contrast. And sometimes you see streaks when you're coloring with Copic markers, but it does dry. That's just because the marker is wet with alcohol. So I'm grabbing a jelly roll again actually not again, I used a white pencil before, but I'm using a jelly roll this time to add some highlights, just like I did to the other bear. I'm darkening his eyes with the color pencils. I didn't want to use Copic markers because the tip is very thick compared to a pencil. So I'm just trying to add a little bit of white to the eyes to give it a little bit of shine. You can't even see it there, but you could see it in person. So both are done. I'm gonna put them side by side, and you can see the first one was with color pencils and baby oil. It's pretty smooth, but the blending isn't as good as I think the right one with the Copic markers. So here I have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card base in the same color, and I'm just gonna attach one of the faces of the cards using this tape runner. And having colored all the edges, sponged the edges, it gives it a little contrast too. Very simple card, but I think it's adorable, even with the mistakes. And there you can see the bleed through with the alcohol marker, but once you put it down, you won't even see it. That's it for now. Thanks so much. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye-bye.